What's up, babes? Today we're talking about First Commander Arbor. Now, it doesn't sound familiar, does it? But he is regularly known as King, but we got his name for the first time because of a very, very short flashback. Now, I'm going to talk about the status of Wano, kind of what's going on with Zoro, and some other things. But first, talking about Queen, Sanji beat his ass. I was wrong. I guess he is done. He sent him Ring Out, and that was like in the first panel that he shot him through the left brain, and he is off Onigashima. He is falling down to Wano, probably in the ocean. I don't think he's going to die. Nobody dies. But he is headed somewhere. Now, with his durability, I like to think that he might be able to witness the end of Wano, but I'm not sure. But at the end of the day, even though these last two chapters have been banger chapters, that doesn't mean that we're out of the woods quite yet. A lot of people are still debating whether they're going to win or going to lose. And at this point, it's tough to say that they're going to lose, but you have a very strong argument if you think that, just because of the two problems still remaining. But we'll get to that in a little bit. So yeah, to start, the left brain, which I love the not just foreshadowing, but the imagery of him being the Pirate King, and the left brain and the right brain, left being Sanji and right being Zoro, when it's his left and right hand man, taking out the left and right hand man of Kaido, which Kaido mentions in the flashback. He's like, "You're going to be my right hand man. We're going to call you King, because we need a name that suits you." Now, what I found very interesting about that flashback is, after rereading it, I realized that a couple things. I was like, Kaido has like cuffs on himself, and they were like, yeah, the test subjects have escaped. He didn't just go there to rescue King. He rescued King after doing what he needed to do to escape. And we know that Kaido's been captured. We know that he's been tortured. We know all that. So he was going through something very similar to them testing Arbor's King's. I like that name. I don't know. I like Arbor as a name, but testing King's endurance, like whatever that might mean. I mean, we know his powers, like when he's flaming, he has like defense, and when he's not, it makes him move faster, but then his defense is lacking. Now, I don't really know if that just makes his skin like harder or something, but I like King as a character and his power. Now, the thing with him and Queen, with Sanji and Queen, is it got summed up in a chapter after they had kind of been fighting for a while. But I was kind of alright with that. I was a little upset that King only got one. Now, I think King's done. It was also titled the same thing, where Sanji just sent Queen out, where he's like, I easily won this, and that was Sanji versus Queen. And now it's Zoro versus King, and he just hit him with a slash that King did not look like he was expecting at all. It was called a couple of different things depending on the translation that you read. 103 senses or emotions, and yeah, flying samurai dragon or some shit, and then the other one was called something else. But very cool move. The fight was awesome. When that gets animated, it's gonna look beautiful, just because, I mean, a couple things with Zoro. King's conquer the entire time once he was starting to land hits, and the fact that he was able to not only do that, but to do that after having already fought so many people, having already gone against the Yonko, having blocked ocean sovereignty, and then taking out the first commander. He's a nut. I saw this meme where it says that he's the MVP. He's got Odin's daughter. He got a sword. He took out the first commander. He stood up to the Yonko. Dude's nut. And I think that was kind of somewhat expected. Now, I don't expect him to do much more, just because he is kind of out. But at the same time, when he was talking about kind of raging around afterwards and Sanji needs to stop him, well, Sanji's out. Sanji collapsed. I don't think he's going to be able to do much more. But I'm interested to see what him and Zoro kind of, where they fit in now. King's done. Pretty sure King is done. Solid character. He said he was at his limit maybe a little bit earlier than I thought, because like, I don't know, like 3 or 4 chapters ago, he was talking shit like, oh, you're using your sword. He's like, yeah, because I'm bored. But then Zoro had his flashback power up. He had his, I'm going to use King's Conquer this entire time. Which I don't know how he was able to manage that, but he did. Zoro's a beast. I love the dialogue in this chapter. Zoro's basically just like, bro, you got nothing on me. I don't want to hear your shit talk. I don't want you to think that you're better than me until you've beat me. But King was talking his shit all the way up until the end. He's like, I'll remember you as a good swordsman. I will. But you're done. And King's like kit is huge. Like he can punch, he can kick you, and that looks like it hurts a lot. He has very sturdy, crazy defense. His power allows him to fly. I don't know why he stopped kind of flying around and dodging Zoro, but I feel like he felt like he was pretty safe. But that was clearly a mistake because once he sent out his strongest move, the Flame Dragon, um, shoutouts to the boy. Crap, what's his name? How am I forgetting his name? Mr. Chop Chop, who just got sliced up, and why am I forgetting his name? Doesn't matter. Something with a K. It does matter. That's so embarrassing that I'm forgetting his name, but it doesn't matter. He taught him how to cut flames, and that's kind of his things. Kinemon. God. Kinemon. So he taught him how to cut flames, and that's turned to be very helpful against King especially. And I feel like that might get brought up later. He's like, hey, thanks, man. Like the after battle like party thing. He's like, thanks, man. Now, I don't think they're going to have much time to party with the government on the way. CP0 already there. But now that King's out of the picture, I like to think about, okay, what's next here? Because we have to assume King's out because of what happened with Sanji and Queen, the titles of the chapter, and that really strong attack that he just hit him straight up with. Now, he might have some more endurance because they were kind of stressing that, and I hope that King doesn't get the same treatment that Queen does, just because I kind of respect him more as an opponent. He is a first commander. He is super duper strong, and plus he has that connection to Kaido with he's going to be king of the pirates. So he's going to fight as long as he's able. So I think he's done, but we might see something else from him. But I said that about Queen, and I was wrong. But now that he's out, you have to think about what are the remaining problems in Wano on Onigashima. And the problems are CP0. CP0 is an issue. I don't know if the Straw Hats are going to be able to take care of them, but they shouldn't because X-Drake and Apu are fighting the two strongest guys. I think there was more than that there, but I could be wrong. It could just be those two guys, the one with the mask and the one with the hat. They're very... X-Drake and Apu are stronger than I think we give them credit for. Are they going to be able to take them out? I'm not sure. But they're going to be able to distract them long enough to take out the other problems at the time. The giant flame monster, I forget his name. They named him, but he is an issue, especially with Onigashima being a flying bomb, just about. So if you set fire to the bomb, everything is going to explode. That's kind of the biggest problem for just like the fodder of the group, that it's just kind of wandering around, burning everything as it goes, going through walls and just kind of destroying the entire place. And that was kind of Orochi Kanjuro's like last ditch effort to be annoying, basically, and being like, well, fuck you. If you don't want to team up with us, then we're going to ruin your shit. But they're just kind of hiding out. I mean, we know Orochi's just kind of chilling somewhere. Believe it or not really a problem, but something most people have forgotten about is Mr. Earlobes and Raizo. We haven't gotten a conclusion to their fight, and I think we're going to get one, like maybe next chapter. But that was kind of one of the face-off things that, like, if they don't show us the end of that, it doesn't really matter that much. Like, who really cares? Unless you love him, unless you love Mr. Ninja Man. But we have to get like an end to that just because it showed it with everybody else. Sanji and Queen, Zoro and King, Inuyasha and Jack, Nekomamushi and Perospero. We got an end to all those. And believe it or not, Mr. Nine Scabbard himself, Raizo, is fighting Mr. Earlobe Man in some ninja battle that I'm sure they'll animate, but I expect to just kind of see the end of that and be done with it. But other problems, now the biggest problems, Big Mom, who is now trying because Kid and Law forced her to try. And I think that's going to be a very interesting conclusion. I don't know exactly what they're going to do. I'm still betting that not only are the raid's going to be successful, but I think that they're going to capture Big Mom. I don't think they're necessarily going to beat Big Mom. She's kind of too much of a freak of nature to beat, I think. But they did do some solid damage with their last mega attack. But I think that Kid's going to be able to like wrap her up, because not only is Onigashima a flying bomb, but it's also filled of metal and metal material to capture Big Mom. And I feel like if you kind of wrap her in a huge metal ball, there's not going to be a whole lot that she can do with no space. Just because beating Big Mom at the same time they beat Kaido just sounds weird. It doesn't sound weird for Kid's character arc, but it just kind of sounds and looks weird. I don't know how to explain it, but Luffy said he's going to take out Big Mom and Kaido, but I kind of see Big Mom turning a new leaf once we get into the end stage of One Piece, which we're kind of there. I think there's going to be one more arc where Big Mom's going to be absent from it because we need Shanks to come in, Elbaf, and all that stuff, and then we're going to get to Raftel, and then the final fight, and Imu-sama. But I just don't really see Kid beating Big Mom. And even if he does, it's somewhat tainted because, I mean, Law's doing some work there. Like, it's kind of a 50-50 split. But with Kaido, that's not the case. Luffy's up there by himself. I think that for the last chapter of the year next week, we're going to be seeing kind of what's going on with that fight and how they're going to treat it. Now, it's definitely going to be treated very differently, I like to think, than Zoro versus King or Queen versus Sanji, just because it's Kaido, it's a Yonko. Like, we've seen First Commanders lose. We've seen Luffy take out Katakuri. Like, this isn't like necessarily a super crazy thing to us, but what will be crazy is when he takes out a Yonko, which I believe he's going to do. I just don't know how he's going to do it. Now, he recently learned how to code himself in Kings, but will he get his awakened devil fruit now? Is that something we have to wait for later? With Jinbei, and I like kind of bringing everything around, when Jinbei was talking with Who's Who about that fruit and kind of just the exposition with that on how it is a special fruit and Luffy just happened to eat it, you would think that he's going to awaken it. Or you would think that him awakening it is a giant power-up that might come later, but I feel like it would make the most sense for him to awaken it now. Now, what does that look like? I remember when Gear 4th came out, Gear 4th came out against Doflamingo, there was a 2-week break, and I remember watching theory upon theory video about what it was going to be. And my favorite one was vulcanized rubber, which is basically like a tire. And I think that kind of makes the most sense. I think his power might look very similar to Doflamingo's Awakened, where it kind of just like takes everything because they're both paramecias, but paramecias are kind of tough to talk about Awakened. So I don't know. I don't know if we're going to see it Awakened. I think so. I think Big Mom's going to get captured, not beaten, but that kind of hurts Kids. But Kids kind of in a weird spot anyway. But everyone else is kind of taken care of. Everyone at this point is kind of taken care of. So we're going to start to see like kind of the rescue side. I think that that's going to mainly be led by Yamato. That's somebody else. I think that she is going to figure out kind of how to stop it from being a floating bomb or getting rid of all of that, and then start to rescue everybody, because it's going to crash land in Wano, and Wano is going to be destroyed because of it. So that's kind of like the last boogeyman. It's not necessarily a person, but it's the fact that Onigashima is going to fall on Wano, and that's Yamato and Momonosuke's problem. And I think that those two combined, like once they figure it out, Momonosuke is going to have a great ending where he's going to be able to save that. I don't think he's going to really do anything in the Kaido fight. At least I kind of hope not. Like, he might play like a Usopp role with, like, if you remember Rob Lucci, when Luffy was kind of getting his ass beat. Like, he was kind of sticking in there, but he was still kind of getting his ass beat in Eni's lobby. And then Usopp's like, come on, man. Like, you got to win. We need you to win or this is not going to work out. We could see something like that. But, I mean, Luffy's lost how many times now? 3, 4, 3? But I'm looking forward to the end. I think they're going to take their time. I think it's going to be a crazy ending that feels kind of like Eni's lobby. It just seems like some of the secondary fights got cleaned up too quickly, at least in my opinion. I would have liked more focus on Zoro and King, but at least we got it. At least all that happened. Like, I think the animation will kind of take care of it. Wano's kind of been kicking ass in that department, and I think they kind of just want to get to the end of Wano and the end of One Piece, kind of coming into that final stretch. Now, final stretch means like 400 chapters, but I could talk about that for forever. So that's it. Those are the problems they still have. Arbor's out of the situation. Mr. King is down and out, and Zoro is a beast for being able to do Kings that long. I think he's only one of like 5 people up there who can even do that. So yeah, he's the man. And also, last thing I'll say is King is way stronger than Queen. Last thing I'll say. Like, Sanji's very strong. Sanji got a huge power up. All the Straw Hats got a huge power up, but Zoro's is still bigger than all of them. Being able to manage Kings for that long and being able to imbue it into your sword for that long against that kind of an opponent, crazy. I think he might have just secured his spot on top of all of Onigashima as top 5, if not top 4. But yeah, it's cool that he was able to pass that, and now you kind of see him as he's first. Not only is he first commander level, but he's beaten the strongest, in my opinion, first commander that we've ever seen to date. Now Ben Beckman's out there. Ben Beckman's waiting, but that's another time. But I'm done blabbering. You guys have a Merry Christmas, Happy Holidays, and see you next week for, who knows, the chapters next week, so we'll see. Peace.